Alekandiotis here, and want to show you guys some cool new features on MySuppliers, which is one of the apps that integrate automatically with Pastel Partner, Pastel Xpress, or Sage 50 Cloud. So our purpose at MyBI is actually to say, well, we want to gamify accounting. So we want to make accounting fun for all accountants, because actually I'm a chartered accountant, but there's a lot of times where accounting seems to be, made into a little bit of a boring subject, but it's actually so vibrant and awesome. So let me show you how we try to do that. Well, firstly, let's just head over into Pastel itself. So this is Pastel Xpress for a demo company. And this is typically the environment that you deal with when you are a Pastel user. Now, this is quite techy, and it is built for accountants more than the standard businessman. So you'll find that actually that a lot of the SME businesses that use Pastel, it's only used for their financial environment instead of a true ERP environment. ERP that stands for Enterprise Resource Planning, meaning that it's more a holistic system, like a SAP system for a bigger corporate, whilst Pastel seems to be only financial of nature. We don't believe that. We believe it can actually be an ERP environment, which really is a more integrated environment. So you don't have to have all these different environments that you have to deal with. Only one centralized environment, meaning that you can really now, as an SME business, deal with your data. Okay, so firstly, this is the environment that you will usually operate in. So what I want to show you now is, if we go into the app, this is MySuppliers app. So this integrates automatically. It lands in Excel, but it integrates, it pulls the information from your Pastel master files. Okay, now this automatically now would enable you to generate documents and to quickly capture transactions that relate to suppliers. Okay, so there's a few documents in Pastel that you can deal with from a supplier's point of view, which is a purchase order, a GRN, and a supplier's invoice. I'm only going to deal quickly with a supplier's invoice now, for instance. Okay, so a lot of times supplier's invoice are actually repetitive in nature. So I'm going to take one of our invoices here that has come in. So this is an invoice. This is a repetitive invoice that comes in every week. It says, well, here I have a weekly fee of this contractor, and they ultimately have given me something to pay here. Okay, so now I'm going to take this invoice, which usually would have gone into Pastel. You would have opened here and gone to supplier's invoice, and you would have spent some time to capture it. Now, ultimately, this is quite a slow process. You would see I have to go and select my actual supplier. Oh, I can't find it on code. Then I have to go again, and I try and find it on name. There it comes up. And now it says, do you want a link? No, I don't have open purchase orders. Then I have to go and select the supplier invoice, which would have been over here. And so on, I would have gone and capture on a line-by-line basis. It says, okay, it already exists. Do you want to continue? Yes, I want to continue. All right, so it's quite a slow process. Now the next step would be, what do I want to capture? I have to go and think of the code, etc. It's quite slow, and it's a line-by-line process. So that's typically what you find in Pastel. Now, look how we try to gamify it. Let's see if we get this right. So cool. So firstly, we go and we say, no, we want a supplier's invoice. And who is the actual supplier? Well, we can either go and search it here from our standard list here. So we go and we say, oh, well, there is the guy automatically. That's the person. You'll see that WAL001 is the same as in Pastel. Or you could have searched it, which is quite a smart search, because you could have said, well, I know that's the guy's name. Okay, there it comes up. Or CON. Oh, there it comes up. It's actually in that name over there. And then also it lands it for me. Then the reference, well, I grab that reference over there. I say, now I've landed my header information. And what's the document date? Well, let's just go and see. Document date is the 29th of May. And I select May. May, there it is. Okay, so this is a slice of information. Okay, then I can go and say, what is the due date? Well, within 1 day I have to pay it. That automatically updates. Okay, so it's a click and a click environment, one click, and it's a play environment where we can land information. Now we've actually preloaded templates over here at the top, which is this one over here. That's a preloaded template, because remember, a lot of times you actually have repetitive information. It's the same payments you do, it's just different values. So for instance here, if we land that one over there, they said, well, we've pre-populated a template here. Well, you can centralize that now. Remember, that's ERP system. So you as management, you can centralize and say, we're happy with this as a template for this contractor. Now it actually lands something there. We say, well, that's the weekly fee. Okay, let's check that from the invoice. Oh, wow, okay, that's 1250. So that's been agreed with that contractor. Okay, and now we say, oh, there's a reimbursement there. We've agreed a certain fee per kilometer. All right, that's cool. And then we go 144 because that's the kilometers that was traveled this week. Is there any tax? So you'll see now it starts adding up here at the top. And is there any tax? Okay, no, this is not a tax invoice. And suddenly now we have a document that agrees to 1826. 1826. All right, there's no, for instance, there's potentially a commission to this guy or not. Now we say, okay, good, that's finished. I'm happy. Now I can process it. Once it's processed, this is where the actual fun starts on the Pastel side, because now your Pastel team, it automatically integrates or actually synchronizes to their environments through Dropbox with a little file that's been created. So this has been captured by your creditors clerk or by the your project manager or whomever that may be. And now suddenly in Pastel, look how cool this is. Instead of having this line by line, we actually go and say, well, we want to batch import. Okay. And I press F5, or I can search on that little looking glass. Okay, now I go and find in my environment, I can actually go and find that supplier. Okay, that's now there we go, all the document types. Well, this was a supplier's invoice, and there the one I've just issued was 49. That one over there, and I say open, I say process. It says, well, one has been imported, and if I open here, there it lies. And all of that documentation, all of that capturing has now actually come in. Very neat. Far more than I would usually capture in Pastel. And the reason why a lot of the guys find that Pastel's data is not necessarily valuable is because it's so difficult to capture data. So what we're trying to do is we say, well, Pastel is a great environment. It's a nice, controllable, well-defined database environment. But let's just make the capturing of it far more fun, so that once you're now going to actually look at the data, that it actually is rich data and it becomes an ERP system, because now you can really look at it with an eye of a BI or a data specialist. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. We're really trying to do some fun stuff, and hope you guys you guys enjoy it. And if you guys have any suggestions, or you just want to give it a demo trial, please just send us an email. You can find our contact details on mybi.co.za. It's been great. Thanks so much. Cheers, guys.